You know that mold is at an all-time high today, which is the
I
one
did
thing
not.
I am allergic to.
Yeah,
Okay. Pollen is down,
mold is up.
mold is up. I know that as a matter of fact, because I was watching CBS this morning.
All right.
They
There
have
you
a
go.
little stream, now that I think about it.
Learn something new every day.
Indeed.
Coming around. Gone? Got it on both? Good done? Yes.
No problem. Do what you need to do.
We're all perfectly happy.
Everybody happy? Good?
I'm good.
All right. Well, Madam Vice President, one, thank you for doing this.
Of course.
And thank you for inviting us into your home.
Of course.
So let's just start with
Hang on
Israel.
1 second, Bill.
Yeah.
Sorry, we had someone in the background. I'm afraid you're gonna have to re-ask that.
Okay, whoever's in the dining room. Okay.
So yeah, just to start with Israel.
Okay.
With 2024 elections done and over, and now we're into 2025, the Democrats are scrambling like crazy. They're protesting all over the place for some of the wildest reasons. They're protesting all of the things being done by President Trump, his cabinet, and by Elon Musk that he campaigned on, that the American people said that we wanted. But since this is all happening, one of the things that people have been missing out on is the name of Kamala Harris popping up for 2028. Now, recently, 60 Minutes released the unedited version of the interview that they did with Kamala Harris prior to the campaign. Now, here's why that's a big deal. CBS did not release this unedited version willingly. As a matter of fact, they ignored several requests to release the transcripts and the unedited version of the video, of the interview. Here's why they decided to do it. President Trump, aware that there may be some funny business going on because they ran a commercial promoting the interview where Kamala Harris gave one response to the Israel situation. But during the actual interview, it was changed. And that is campaign and election interference, in case you don't know. It is against the FCC rules for a network to edit and change the words or the context of a sentence of a candidate to make them seem more attractive for the general public. And that's exactly what CBS did. And so due to President Trump's $10 billion lawsuit, they wanted to avoid coming out of $10 billion because that could crush the network, they wanted to avoid being deposed or being brought in front of the court of law. Because when they're deposed or they're in the court, they're able to be asked questions about situations that had nothing to do with this Kamala interview that could open up a whole nother can of worms that CBS would like to avoid. And so with this unedited version of the video, we get a chance to see behind the scenes and some of the ways that Kamala Harris responded that they edited out. And I have to tell you, it is a doozy. But not only do I show that, I also show some of these left-wing pundits on why they believe Kamala Harris will be and is the best candidate for 2028. So make sure that you watch the whole video because we got some of the clips from the unedited version of her interview. I went through, edited, clipped it out, and brought you some of the best moments. And then I've also got clips from those folks giving their opinions on how Kamala Harris can be and will be the front runner in 2028. So stick around until the end, but let's get to it.
Well, let's talk about that. You want to expand the child tax credit.
Yes, I do.
You want to give tax breaks to first-time home buyers.
Yes.
And people starting small businesses.
Right.
But it is estimated by the Nonpartisan Committee for Responsible Federal Budget that your economic plan would add $3 trillion to the federal deficit over the next decade. How are you going to pay for that?
Okay, so the other economists that have reviewed my plan versus my opponent, because this is an election and there are two choices.
But pardon me, Madam Vice President, the question was, how are you going to pay for it?
Well, one of the things is I'm going to make sure that the richest among us who can afford it pay their fair share in taxes. And I plan on making that fair.
But we're dealing with the real world here.
But the real world includes,
How are you going to get this through Congress?
When you talk quietly with a lot of folks in Congress, they know exactly what I'm talking about because their constituents know exactly what I'm talking about. My plan is about what we need to do to, yes, expand the child tax credit, because for young families, for the first year of their child's life, $6,000 allows them to buy a crib. We all benefit from that. We all benefit from that.
I understand, but that sounds great. It does. It all sounds good. But the reality is these tax cuts have been in place for years.
They're about to expire.
Yes, and Congress has shown no inclination to move in your direction.
I disagree with you.
I guess what I was asking, if all of this makes so much sense, why has this not been done? You're dealing with a Congress that is divided, that many are in opposition to not only you, but your policies. So how are you going to make this
Bill,
come true?
if I approached my life as though, well, it's never been done before, therefore it cannot be done, I wouldn't be sitting here in this interview with you. That's the truth. I am supported by over 200 former members of Mitt Romney, John McCain, both President Bush, and even former President Trump's teams.
Donald Trump says that tariffs on imports, well, that would be the solution to all of our economic woes. You criticize his plan for tariffs, yet the Biden-Harris administration has left many of the Trump-era tariffs in place, especially when it regards China. And President Biden has, in fact, expanded some of those tariffs. Would you continue the Trump-era tariffs if you're elected?
He is advocating what is at least a 20% tariff across the board on everyday necessities and goods.
But
everyday
you've got tariffs.
Goods, but let me get to my point.
Embraced President Biden's recent crackdown on asylum seekers. And that crackdown produced an almost immediate and dramatic decrease in the number of border crossings. And you said you would take it even further. If that's the right answer now, why didn't your administration take those steps in 2021?
The first bill we proposed to Congress was to fix our broken immigration system, knowing that if you want to actually fix it, we need Congress to act. It was not taken up. Donald Trump got word that this bill was afoot and could be passed, knowing that it could fix part of the problem. And he wants to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. So he told his buddies in Congress, kill the bill, don't let it move forward.
But
If you're enjoying this video, do me a solid. Hit that like button. I'll never ask you for a cash app. I will never ask you for a super chat. But you hitting that like is currency. It helps spread the video around. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. And when you do, hit the notification bell and select all. That way you'll be notified when I upload new videos. On this channel, I share political and current events and also sales strategies. So if you're enjoying it, hit like and subscribe. Back to the video.
Madam Vice President, I've been covering the border for years, but there was an historic flood of undocumented immigrants coming across the border the first 3 years of your administration. As a matter of fact, arrivals quadrupled from the last year of President Trump. Was it a mistake to loosen the immigration policies as much as you did in 2021? But that was just this past year. That was just this past year. What I was asking was it a mistake to kind of allow that flood to happen in the first place?
I think the policies that we have been proposing are about fixing a problem, not promoting a problem.
Does she look uncomfortable to you? Because throughout this entire interview, she looks so uncomfortable, and she tries to play it off like, it's just nothing, but she looks so uncomfortable, almost like she got to do a number two, right? Just my thoughts.
Okay.
But the numbers did quadruple.
And the numbers
under your
today,
watch.
because of what we have done, we have cut the flow of illegal immigration by half.
But should you
We
have
have
done
cut
that?
the
Should you
flow
have
of
done that?
fentanyl by half, but we need Congress to be able to act, to actually fix the problem. We need more asylum judges. We need more processing of people who are coming to our border.
It's funny because President Trump has been able to reduce that border flow by 93% without any congressional acts, without any new laws, through using his executive powers, which is exactly what Biden-Harris did. President Trump is letting it be known and letting people see that this was all intentional by the Democrat Party. And that should terrify everybody on what their intentions were. And we're still not out of the woods. Millions of those people are still here. And we should also thank our lucky stars that we do have President Trump. Because can you imagine what would have happened if these lunatics would have won? Man.
But I guess my question is, it's a pretty simple one. If this is the right answer now, what you tried to do with the bipartisan bill.
And what we tried to do
spring.
on day one, Bill, and what we tried to do on day one.
I'm trying to understand how it is that with this emphasis on the border, the numbers of crossings quadrupled under the first 3 years of the Biden-Harris administration. How did that happen?
We've got to have leaders who are solution oriented, which we've been and are, and I am going forward.
You have accused Donald Trump of using racist tropes. You have called him a racist, yet Donald Trump has the support of millions and millions of Americans. How do you explain that?
So let's just break down what you just talked about and talk about it in the context of the words that Donald Trump has spoken and the actions he has taken.
This woman's word salad buffets are just insane. Are you paying attention that, she either makes a face, looks off, pauses, or just says some nonsensical stuff? You imagine her as the commander-in-chief meeting with a foreign leader, a dictator somewhere. I'm talking about a heartless, ruthless dictator, and yet they're meeting, having a face-to-face confrontation, a conversation, and it's serious, and her having to be the one to lay the law down. Would they take that serious, or would they try to attack us the next day? I think President Biden gave us a glimpse. So at least he had a reputation to go off of. So maybe that held people at bay a little bit. But once it was made globally, when it was globally known that this man was out of his rocker, you saw what happened. You know what I mean? Stuff was happening all over the place. Now we got aircraft falling. We got proxy wars going on. But once President Trump came back, the Trump effect, look at how the world is starting to kind of realign and adjust itself.
And whether that is reflective of who we are as Americans, knowing we have so much more in common than what separates us.
Oh my God, I'm sick of hearing that line.
Madam Vice President, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill. Good to be with you.
Now watch this. Now pay attention to what's about to happen. To show you just how fake this campaign was, even an interview, even the ending of an interview has got to be staged. Check this out and ask yourself, is this right here what's happening? What helped them as far as be able to edit that clip? Because listen to the question that he asked. Now we get it. Now we understand how that whole clip was edited. Because watch this.
Can we just get just a little bit of a question, please, so I can get it from the shoulder shot?
Yeah.
1 second. Just 1 second. Okay, thank you.
You need me talking?
Yes, sir.
Well, we were talking about how you're going to pay for it. And I truly do mean it. Your plans are logical, make logical sense.
Mm-hmm.
The way Washington works is not logical. So how are you going to convince a divided Congress that what you say, your plans, are something that they should all agree to and provide to the American people when they've shown no inclination to do that up to this point?
She looks so uncomfortable.
Is that what you needed?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. 30 seconds of silence, please, for each time.
Wow. And so now what we're going to look at, these are those pundits. These are those politically savvy people out there giving their take on Kamala Harris 2028. And tell me, post in the comments, what do you think about Kamala Harris's 2028 run? You think she even has a shot? Do you even think she has a shot to be governor? Put it in the comments.
Consult poll. Kamala Harris currently has 42% support to be the party's nominee in 2028. Kamala Harris should be the nominee in 2028, according to 42% of Democrats and Democratic-leaning independents. Pete Buttigieg is in second place at 9%. Gavin Newsom, California governor, at 8%.
Now, there's already talk within Democrat circles about who is going to be their candidate in 2028. Yes, they're trying to look ahead. They're very depressed about what's happening right now. And one name is leading the pack. It's Kamala Harris. This is according to fresh polling of Democrat voters. They want Kamala to run again in 2028. She's well ahead of Gavin Newsom, the California governor, Josh Shapiro, the Pennsylvania governor, Pete Buttigieg. I can't believe he's even in the running. He's hopeless. Kamala got 41% of those polled. The others were way behind with 8%, 7%, and 6%. respectively.
Democrats appear to be putting 2024 in the rearview mirror. They are not only regrouping and preparing to be the opposition force in Washington, but they've also begun to consider their prospects for 2028. Do you, as we mentioned, Kamala Harris, vice president, outgoing vice president, Politico is reporting that privately the vice president has been instructing advisors and allies to keep her options open, whether for a possible 2028 presidential run or even to run for governor in her home state of California in 2 years. Governor Newsom will be term limited out. What do you make of that, Mark?
I think it's usually a rule of thumb that politicians will want to keep options open. I mean, I don't, I would think that, I don't think Kamala Harris ran a bad race at all. I think it was a very tough environment. I think President Biden put her in a very tough position. Whether just the sort of stain of being defeated by Donald Trump in the most recent election would disqualify her for running again, you would think would be the case. But I do think that I think she clearly wants to be part of the conversation when she leaves Washington in January, and I think I think we'll see what she does. I think governor might be a more realistic office for her to run for, but we'll see.
I'm going to keep in California here with my pick, which is going to be Kamala Harris.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Get some rest over the holidays. Spend time with the people you love. Then after you have had some rest, come back ready.
Some of you might be thinking, Tommy, she just ran and lost. Why would she run again? I'm sorry, did you not watch the contest where Donald Trump lost and then ran again?
It's not possible, Tommy, for somebody who's lost the presidential race to ever become president.
It happens a lot.
There's a surprising amount of support among Democrats, it seems, for Kamala Harris as
yes.
Wonderful.
Bring it on. Gavin Newsom as well with his state on fire, literally. And so the real question to me is whether they can figure out a way to talk to normal Americans, get back to speaking honestly in plain language and talk about economic issues and move away. They're still talking about how they're going to have a delegate who is trans. I'm actually a gay guy, and I really don't like being associated with this alphabet soup or being considered an acronym as opposed to just a person.
Kamala is super popular with young people, black and brown voters, gay voters, anti-abortionists. I mean, she would make all the sense in the world because those are the coalitions that we're leaking.
I was absolutely blown away when I saw a poll this morning showing that among Democrat voters, 41%, by far and away, the next person had 8%. By far and away, the top choice from Democrat voters to stand as the Democrat nominee in 2028 is, wait for it, Kamala Harris. These people do not understand what happened on November the 5th, do they? They do not get why they lost.
No, many of them don't.
Somebody actually took the time to create this. Wishful thinking. It's gonna happen. That's pretty much all I can take of that. As you can see, I wanted to just add that in. Somebody took the time to actually create that. That is wishful thinking. J.D. Vance will smoke that woman in a contest, at least right now. Everything seems to be going well right now for the Trump administration. Trump's got J.D. out doing things, keeping him visible. Not going to make the same mistake that Biden made with Kamala hiding her away, then trying to spring her out like a superstar. But they had to do that because, having her out would have tanked them that much sooner. And then in Trump's first term, Mike Pence just did not have personality. I mean, you know, conservative, you know, good job as far as politician and a public servant, not very likable. Not somebody that attracts voters and get people excited to get to the polls. But JD is sharp. He's quick-witted. He's funny. He's on his game, and he's young. So the Republican Party is looking bright. I mean, we got a bench. We got Rubio. We got Vivek. We got Byron Donalds. We got people over there, man, that are ready to rock and roll. While the Democrats are figuring it out. They're having elections where you got to select a man, woman, and a non-binary person. I mean, the craziest stuff in the world. But as long as they keep doing that, Trump will keep winning and we'll keep progressing. So thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate you for tuning in. And remember, if you haven't liked it, like it, share the video, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I'm Brian Maxwell. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you at the top. Over and out.